is there anything that you would like people to know about you, Sarah? Anything in particular?
I'm more than my disability. I'm a poet, model, and a lifelong learner. I did advocacy a bit as a teen and into my early 20s too.
Awesome. I love that. I'm more than my disability. And I think that in this interview and throughout your life, you have really shown that just by the things that you've accomplished through having your work published, through doing modeling, which, by the way, I really want to make sure I get some pictures for this so people can see that. And also, you're going to college and like having done all of that stuff, right? And connecting with people and going to your concerts and all that, just being a person, a regular person. You like to do everything everybody else likes to do, right? My name's Erica Davidson, and if you're new here, I develop content to help people with disabilities and those who support them in all things related to job searching, employment, and even small business. And so I'm really glad that you're here because speaking of small business and like really accomplishing amazing things, that brings me to my very special guest, my great friend, Sarah Burgess. Thanks so much for being with us today, Sarah. I'm really glad, actually. Thank you for having me in your home. That's where we are right now. We're at Sarah's house. And thank you for agreeing to do this interview with me. Yeah. So, okay. So Sarah's story is incredible. I'm not going to say a whole lot about it just yet because we're going to have a chance to talk, like we'll be talking about it. But I will say this, that so we know that people end up with disabilities for, two types of people in the sense that they're either born with a disability or they acquire a disability later on in life at any point. And various ways, and we know that. And Sarah fits in to that category. Sarah, you were born a healthy, beautiful baby girl, still beautiful, and to your parents, and live in Southern Ontario. And you know, you've got a brother and a sister, right? Who are both older than you. No, okay, messed that up. But your sister is older than you. Your brother is younger than you. Okay, so middle child, right? And you're just going about life. You're living life, and then tragedy strikes. So you're very healthy, and as a young adolescent, Sarah was actually struck by a train, and which I don't think very many people could say has been the case for them. I don't know how many people have been struck by a train, but you know, Sarah, I think since I've known her, and probably her mother would agree that maybe perhaps since she's been young, she was always looking for ways to be famous. And you know, Sarah's got a great sense of humor. So, but okay, so yeah, I don't know many people that could say that that's happened to them, and you have just overcome so much. So I'm really excited to dig into that. And so let me start by asking how you're doing. Now you'll turn it back on. That's okay. So you'll notice that Sarah actually speaks from a program on her iPad, and sometimes she'll try to speak to me, but I'm not really good at understanding her. And so, yeah. If I always say that it's a good thing I already have some self-confidence, because by the time I met Sarah, for as many times as she's given me the good old loser sign, but nonetheless, yeah. So how are you doing, Sarah?
I'm as good as can be.
Yeah, as good as can be. And that's because like normally you're doing really well, but you have been going through a really long waiting period of healing in a hole, for lack of right, where the G tube would have went. You were fed by a G tube, and you no longer need that. So that's been removed, and you're trying to let that heal up. And in the process of letting that heal up, you haven't really been able to go do a whole lot. And you absolutely love to be out there active and connecting with people. So, you know, anybody can relate to that if you're isolated and stuff like that, right? Okay. Well, I'm glad we get to be together then, because that means that you get to talk with me for a while and stuff and have some company, right? Okay. So Sarah, why do you want to share this story? Why do you want to share your story of what's happened to you?
To bring comfort to those who need comforting, so they know they're not alone. That's my goal.
I think that's awesome, Sarah. And we know you love to connect with people, and then also have such a compassionate heart. And you want to be able to share with people that are going through tragedy, maybe have had an incredible injury, or just anything, right? Good for you. Okay. And then, all right. So then we'll start talking about the story a little bit. How old were you exactly when this happened? Well, how old are you now? And how old were you when this happened to you?
37, 38 in November now, and I was 13. 2 weeks before I would have started high school at DM. Dennis Morris.
Yeah. So a young girl having lots to look forward to. I think you mentioned that you were quite the social butterfly, having lots of friends, and still do. But at that point, you're just like really excited about what high school, you were looking forward to that, right? What that was going to be like for you. And then huge turn of events, things changed. So take us back to the date actually, even before that, sorry, this is me messing up, but I'll just say that Sarah and I had to coordinate all of our questions and answers because of using the iPad, of course, right? So we need to make sure that we have this back and forth in order to make sure that our conversation is flowing well for everybody. So, all right, tell us about life before the accident. What kind of person were you?
The same person I am now, so the same stuff as I enjoy now. My personality didn't change at all, believe it or not.
I love that. I think that's incredible. I think that's a testament of your strong spirit, which we talk about as well through this interview, and just who you are as a person, right? So I love that. I really love that answer. When you sent it to me and said that would be your answer, I really love that. And so what date did the accident happen exactly?
August 19th, 2000.
Yeah, so you're looking at almost 23 years ago now. Yeah, so almost 10 years more than like past, like how old you actually were when it happened to you, right? You were 13 when it happened to you, and then it will be 3 years. So then take us back to that actual date and tell us about the details that happened to you that day.
Went to Herzog's for my uniform fitting in the morning. Came home for a bite to eat. And went to get stamps to mail letters to my friend I met at a camp I went to with my grade 8 class before babysitting. I obviously don't remember this, but I've been told that by my own popularity in the small Meritten community, my friends were the first to see me and notify my parents.
Wow. It actually, now you're younger than me by a lot or a little, but when I hear that, I think about even my own grade 8 year, right? I remember being 13 and riding my bike and babysitting, and gosh, I remember Herzog's, and I mean, it's still there, but just remember all of these things that you're saying, and that and what happened to you, and then in a moment, things changed, right? And your friends found you there, and pardon?
My friends so like I was well known in the community.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, your friends have found you. You were well known, and really, I can only imagine what it was like for your friends to find you in that condition. And had you, I know this is a question that I didn't necessarily ask, but had you talked or seen the friends that actually first saw you after the fact? Yeah. Are you guys still connected on social media or anything like that? That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah. But so what is your earliest memory, or I guess like your last memory before the accident and then your earliest memory after the accident?
Daily, I loved listening to music on 92.5 or 98.5, and my favorite song LFO Summer Girls in my room at home. And after the accident, first memory would be Glorview Macmillan Creed with Arms Wide Open and spraying my favorite perfume in the air, Tommy Girl, before my NG tube removal and replacement.
Wow. So what? Okay. Yeah. All right. Through the nose. Oh, wow. Okay. So I know you talk a little bit about that in here. You're going to share some more about the removal of all of that, right? So when you told us earlier in the interview that not much of your personality really hasn't changed, I can see that in that answer, because the last thing you remember was like you're listening to your music, right? You love your music. And then one of your first memories afterwards is you listening to your music and enjoying that and just being the 13-year-old girl that you were, right? I think that's great. Yeah, so this is more about after your memories after the accident, right? Some of your earlier things that were happening to you.
I was able to come home for weekends once things were in place for me. I required a lot of things in order for me to be able to come home, even just for the weekend. My parents either bought or would rent hospital equipment. When I first started coming home, I had an nasal gastric tube placed in my nose that goes to my stomach so I could receive my daily hydration medication, as I was unable to do liquids without choking. At McMaster, I had an NG tube, however that changed, as a G tube is not visible and is more long-term. Nonetheless, the G tube that they inserted into my stomach fell away from my stomach, so from that point an NG tube was my means for nutrition. As much as a pain that was to deal with. The doctors decided to keep an NG tube going, changing the tube every 2-4 weeks. I made a strategic plan with one of the staff there at the rehab. To prevent myself from gagging while changing the tube, I would listen to my favorite CD, which at the time was Creed, and have someone spray my favorite perfume on me. And I had to be sure to swallow once the tube reached the back of my throat. I loved my room at Glorview 315, so I was on the 3rd floor, doors down from the kitchen. I could smell the food being prepared. I, however, only was given mashed potatoes and gravy for the time I was there, until my parents said something. Even then, like after saying something, my parents would still need to go downstairs to the other restaurant in the rehabilitation center and order a different meal, so I could have some variety.
Okay. Yeah. Wow. So like, we were laughing there a little bit because sometimes we've had this happen before. You've had it happen a lot. Is that Sarah's iPad speaker likes to, I guess, pronounce things in her own little way, and that was choking, not chalking. But hey, that's what she wanted to say, right? So that's quite the experience that you're having there. And then, as you're saying, like, to prevent you from choking, then like your music or chalking, the music would be played, and then your favorite perfume, and that was obviously so that you would relax, to prevent you from gagging as well, right? While you're doing that. So there's a lot going on for you in this time, right? So I wonder, was there a little bit more on that question as well? Because I think the next part of it might be with this too. Because my next, so you want to go from there to the end of this sentence. So here, from 4, there you go. I'm really glad we can get this interview done. We have been waiting for this for over about a year. We've really been trying to do this, and there just seems to be all kinds of different things between Sarah's schedule and mine that have kept preventing it from happening. So today we're really glad.
For me to get discharged from Bloorview, I needed to have the G-tube in my stomach once again. This made my parents and I all hesitant in regards to having another attempt with a G-tube. I would have an oral stimulation. We called her Suxer Lady, as she would stimulate my mouth by trying to have me move my tongue to different places around my mouth. But her name is Jen. So slowly. It's still slow thanks to my spasticity. However, it's a hell of a lot better at times. I also had physiotherapy with Greg and Kelly. Even then I had my sense of humor, as Greg would wear a green tracksuit to which I would tell him non-verbally with gestures to think happy thoughts, and he can fly by pointing to my head, smiling, and flapping my arms.
That's awesome.
Occupational therapy with Terry. Snoozeland room with a different Jen. I loved the Snoozeland room. Bloorview was one of the first rehabs to have a Snoozeland room.
Okay, so this isn't a planned question. Well, first of all, I'll go back and say, I love this, honestly, to think about a 13-year-old girl and going through, you were athletic before all this happened? Well, were you 14 by that time? Okay. You were 14. So you're 14, but either way, you were 13 at the time of the accident, right? So now you're 14 and you were athletic. You were, and still are, extremely bright, right? And you've got a promising future, social life, all kinds of stuff happening for you. And just to the capacity, the maturity to be able to deal with that and still have a sense of humor, it blows my mind. And so if there's any other reason to be doing this video for that purpose in this interview, to encourage people, I think it's that, to say like, I love that about you, Sarah. And so the other thing I was going to say is, this is not a planned question, but I meant to ask you when I saw this, is what is a Snoozeland room? And can you go maybe to another thing? Or no? You think you can tell? You think you can tell me, and you think I'll understand it? You do? Is it a place where you sleep? Oh, that's it. No. You rest. Therapy. You no. I'm not getting it. But you don't sleep. See, yeah. I have all my confidence intact. Yes, I know. I'm still worthy. Oh my gosh. Perhaps I shouldn't look and just get the surprise with the rest of you of what this answer is going to be. So this is what a Snoozeland room is, okay? Maybe you all know, maybe some of you know, I have no idea. In the meantime, while we are waiting for Sarah, if you're enjoying this content and you would like to hear more interviews, you'd like more information about helping somebody with a disability to secure employment, or you want to see somebody who's spotlighted and highlighted and maybe secure some encouragement, some hope, then please do subscribe. Make sure you hit that notification bell so you know when I've uploaded new content. And we'd love to have you join the community. And I think we're all going to learn. We're all going to learn today. We're going to find out today. I mean, I'm getting hungry. I'm getting hungry for dinner. Okay, Sarah and I.
It's a room, obviously, but it's a sensory room with soft lighting and possibly a ball pit.
Possibly a ball pit? Okay, so it's a room, obviously. This is how I get treated by my good friend Sarah. Okay, it's a room, obviously. And okay, but it's sensory room. All right. Yeah, that would probably be my favorite too. That would be my favorite room. All right, let's go back to the interview questions. The snoozlin room is a room, obviously. I'm really interested why they call it the snoozlin room, but because you fall asleep. Oh, all right. You're just so relaxing. Oh. Did you ever fall asleep in the ball pit? You did? No. I would fall asleep in the ball pit. Okay. Where are we at now? Okay. Do you remember, Sarah, what it was like for you when you first learned what had happened to you? Was it like instant? Was it shocking? Or was it sort of gradual that you became aware?
It's not like I needed to be told about my accident. I basically knew right away, just not the full extent of it. Gradually in the early years, I would get thinking at times I planned to get hit by the train. However, that's not the case. I mean, yeah, my life was facing some difficult times, but thanks to my optimistic self, I never allowed myself to be depressed for that long.
Yeah, good for you. Yeah, because I remember, well, and you may not remember this, but I know when we spoke in the early days of us knowing each other, which by the way has been about 6.5 years now, right? And I still feel good about myself, which is incredible. We'll check in with me in a couple years if I'm, if I'm still friends with Sarah. I'm sure I will be, but like just check in. I think we had talked about, you thought that maybe you could beat the train or something like that, but I realized you wouldn't necessarily remember that, right? So okay, and how is your life different now, and like what are some of the limitations that you deal with?
Not being physically able to do a lot of what I should be able to do due to my spasticity or my disability. My hand is all cramped up in a fist move or less, as I need Botox and therapy to help loosen the muscles. Yeah.
You actually have a wheelchair accessible home, right? One of the things that Sarah has actually is even an elevator in her home, and they'll see some footage of that, us going in the elevator today, right? You've got a ramp going out your garage, pardon me, so you can get outside and all that good stuff. You use a walker at times. You use an electric chair. And so it's getting fixed, right? Yeah, it's getting some repairs done. She's getting some big mufflers put on it or something, something in, I don't know, to make it go faster. Mufflers don't make it go faster, but you get the idea. She's going to turn it into a rocket so she can go faster. But yeah, you have things that help you with your physical abilities right now, right? And yet there's not much that stops you, Sarah, because yeah, there's many times that when I've been, supporting Sarah, and you'll be wanting to walk around or do your thing, and I'm like, oh my gosh, you were gonna fall over. But I think what has been really helpful is that your parents have not treated you overly fragile. They've sort of let you fall, have things happen, and they're like, yeah, you can do it. And I think that that's helped you be that much more independent, right? So you're like, yep, and that's really been good. So that being said, looking back on things on your journey, what or who has really been instrumental in helping you recover in the early days?
My own strong will, and of course my family.
Huge. Yeah, it's incredible. And you can see your will when you talk about the story of being in therapy, your will and your humor, right? Yeah, your personality shining through. And family is incredible. And we talk about that a lot on this channel. Family, friends, people who can support you, no matter what you're going through, recovering from an injury or like an accident, and recovering from anything, but also, as we normally do here, and we talk about looking for work, or in Sarah's case, and we'll get into it, so all the different things that Sarah's been involved in, her family has been a really big support in all of that. And so, Sarah, you have certainly come a really long way. You're a huge inspiration to the people around you, including myself. I'm just so grateful to have you in my life. And so, and so, where, like, and you're strong, you have a great attitude, and where do you get this from? Where do you draw your strength from?
My parents and my choices I've made along the way. It definitely has not been easy. Let me tell you, there were days, and still are days, where I just want to give up and be done with life. But I am reminded about all I have to live for and the goodness in the world.
Good. I'm so glad to hear that. I'm really glad to hear that. And like I'm sure, like you're saying, this year has been really hard as you're going through some healing on your body, which makes it that much more difficult to get out and do things. So that damn G tube, right? That's right. So that's what Sarah said, right? It's not often that I understand what Sarah is saying to me. It's not her fault. I don't understand. That's right. But that one I got. So yeah, it's been a real, a real pain, to say a pain in something, right? But okay, so that you heard that. You heard that. Okay. Well, we'll have to bleep that out, maybe. I don't know. So can you tell me, you mentioned some of the choices that you made, your own will to just keep going. And so what are some of the choices that you made?
To continue my schooling, I still would like to continue past the diploma and all of my achievements. Achievements such as being published and modeling.
Yeah, that's awesome. We're going to get into all that stuff too. So when you say to continue school, you continued because you were going to go into high school, right? You still did that. And then when I met you a few years back, 6 years ago, you were even taking college courses, and you'd been doing that for quite a while too. So you just heard a little snippet there of some of the things that Sarah has been involved in, from modeling to being a published author. So we're going to get into some of that. You've been a real go-getter, and you haven't really let a whole lot stop you. Loving music, you've been to lots of different concerts. How many concerts have you been, and what are some of your favorites?
I went to see Creed with a friend I met at Dennis Morris. I also went to a summer camp or two with him. The first year I went to DM, I saw Dallas Green perform in the gymnasium. Within the many years I was at Dennis Morris. As of 2008, I was no longer in school and looking for other options I could take in order to complete my grade 12. I went to see Headley a few times, Mariana's Trench, Green Day, Down with Webster, and Alexis on Fire. I like my music loud. Headley, I went to go see with my boyfriend, who's now my ex, 2 or 3 times with my ex-friend, and once with my sister. Mariana's Trench I've seen the once with my ex, and then Green Day and Alexis on Fire with another friend. Kyle and I kept going to concerts. We have seen Metric, Sum 41, The Offspring, Korn, Alice in Chains, Scorpions, and J.J. Wild Seether, as well as Detours since the pandemic settled, as well as Pop 2000, Counting Crows, and Dashboard Confessionals.
You have been to a lot of concerts, and you like your music loud, right? Awesome. All right. So, party animal. And yeah, you mentioned Kyle in there. I'll be actually interviewing Kyle as well next week. I'm looking forward to that. But I think that's awesome. You still live life, right? You live life. I love that. So you've probably seen me point to Sarah here, because I forgot to tell Sarah before we started the interview that if you touch that, I don't know what the sound's going to come out like on there. So we'll have to be careful with resting on that, or they might get feedback. Let's hope not. Okay. All right. So let's see. You as you mentioned, and we already talked about, you have also been a published author, writing poetry, attending poetry slams, participating in them. And so how many books have you had published so far?
4 chapbooks and 1 book about 100 pages long, which can be bought at grayborders.com. I've written more since the pandemic. Unfortunately, I have been unable to locate a good enough publisher.
All right. Okay. So, but grayborders.com is where people could purchase the books that you've already written, right? That are already published there. So I'll make sure that there's a link in the description as well, and I'll link directly to Sarah's books because they're there, and you can. And we're going to be talking more about Sarah's poetry as well, and a little surprise for people that they could get. So okay, that is so exciting. I love reading Sarah's poetry. She's really passionate. It's really been a way for you to express yourself, right? In so many ways. That's awesome. And so you've even had a poem turned into a song. What was that like for you? Awesome. So cool.
Feels really cool. Gives me hope that potentially could become something more, but what are the chances? So all I can do is cross my fingers.
Awesome. And I've heard it, and it's actually uploaded on your YouTube channel. So I will also include that in the description so that you can check out Sarah's song that is being sung by a gentleman, and it's so one of your poems turned into music, and you're actually brought up on stage during the performance. So it's pretty cool. So I'll leave that down in the description. The one I saw, they brought you up on stage. No? The one I saw, you're up on stage. Well, she can't remember, folks. Maybe you had too much to drink that day. You got to lay off the liquor. Okay, Sarah? Yeah, I do. I don't even drink. For the record, I don't even drink. But we're not really sure about Sarah here. What are some other things you like to do, and what does a day in the life of Sarah look like with all this excitement? Poetry, music, modeling, using an iPad that likes to pronounce words completely differently.
Hectic to say the least. So usually, but not currently. My G-tube was removed in the summer of 2023 and the hole is not fully closed yet. Getting there, but extremely slowly so as I wait. I'm just taking it easy, talking to friends on Facebook and Instagram mostly. Yeah. And like you're saying, mostly because of that, like the healing. But before that, I know that you were involved with the Willow Arts community, doing art and stuff like that too. And you go to as many places as you possibly can. We're on to one of my favorite parts of our interview, and that is about a dream that Sarah has had for a very long time. Tell us about your dream, Sarah. To visit Paris, France, as it's the fashion city, not to mention how I've also been interested in the Eiffel Tower, as my aunt and uncle visited there one year and brought me back a chocolate and an Eiffel Tower pencil sharpener. Ever since I've been Paris, France bound, writing projects in elementary school and essays in high school as well as college about some aspect of Paris, France.
I love that. And that was Eiffel Tower, if you didn't catch that. Not Eiffel, Eiffel Tower. And Sarah's room is full of Paris, France paraphernalia and stuff, right? Yeah. I don't know if it's able to be seen, but she does have this very large Eiffel Tower here, perhaps. So you know what I'll do, because I'm probably creating a lot of, I'll take a picture of that and make sure that we have that in there. But yeah, she has lots of Paris, France paraphernalia and stuff. That's one of your dreams, right? So we came up with an idea because we really want to be able to help Sarah make that dream come true. And since her poetry is really captivating, beautiful, inspiring, I had my sister and my brother-in-law, her husband. Shout out to Bud and Charlie Walker. They did a couple of prototypes that will be available for sale for $25 a shirt. And so Sarah's wearing a pink one now, but we won't actually be selling them in pink. This is just a special one for her. Pink and silver, there you go. And we're going to offer them in white with black writing and black with white writing. And if you're interested in getting one, I'll actually talk a little bit more about them. But you can just email me at info@plotsoflove.ca. That's info@plotsoflove.ca. I'll put that in the description as well. And then just let us know that you're interested. We will arrange payment. The payment will go directly to Sarah. And then we will take that money, of course, to pay for the shirts to be made. And then the rest will help Sarah get to Paris. So the first shirt here, this shirt I'm holding here, it's the title of Sarah's poem is Beauty Knows No Pain. So that is that there. And the portion of the poem, because it's not the whole poem, we just took a stanza of these poems. It says, unidentifiable, reluctantly, without a doubt, I shall persevere, withdrawing any chance of failure. I've overcome many. I'm not about to give up. I definitely won't forfeit. I'm a survivor. I'll survive this too. Hashtag Sarah Burgess Inspires. All right, so that's that shirt. And that one will be available, of course, as I say, in black with white writing. This one that Sarah's wearing will be available in white with black writing. The name of the poem is Manic Happiness. And I am going to get up. I'm going to see if I can read that on the back here for you, Sarah. Okay. It says, it's sporadic and spontaneous. The choice is yours. Accept and engage yourself into the wildfire of happiness. Hashtag Sarah Burgess Inspires again. Awesome. I love that so much, right? That's great. It's so exciting for Sarah to see. Of course, it's like she's seen her work published before, but to see it like this on a shirt and then to think about people wearing it around the community and possibly all over the world is really exciting for her. So as I say, these shirts are only $25 a piece, and they're going to help Sarah make her dream come true of going to Paris. So we appreciate all that support, right? And we'll have all that set up, but I'll put that all in the description as well. Is there anything that you would like people to know about you, Sarah? Anything in particular?
I'm more than my disability. I'm a poet, model, and a lifelong learner. I did advocacy a bit as a teen and into my early 20s too.
It's awesome. I love that. I'm more than my disability. And I think that in this interview and throughout your life, you have really shown that just by the things that you've accomplished through having your work published, through doing modeling, which, by the way, I really want to make sure I get some pictures for this so people can see that. And also, you're going to college and like having done all of that stuff, right? And connecting with people and going to your concerts and all that, just being a person, a regular person. You like to do everything everybody else likes to do, right? So yeah, good one. Okay. And what would be your message to the world?
Always try to be kind with a smile because the world needs more kindness and compassion. Plus, it doesn't hurt to smile. Don't forget to take your time and smell the roses, sunflowers, and tulips.
And tulips too. Before we started this, Sarah was trying very hard to tell me the word tulips, of which I didn't understand. And finally, she pointed to her iPad and showed me the word tulips. And so, tulips, yeah. And I said, maybe it would have been easier if you just pointed at that in the first place. Then you wouldn't have had to go into all that trouble. But no, you were trying to make me like just struggle. And so, Sarah, I love doing this interview with you. This has been a lot of fun. Actually, I really hope I'm able to, we'll do another one. We'll do a follow-up. And I gotta say, if you liked hearing about Sarah, make sure that you do check out the links below, because I will put everything in about her books that she sells, her YouTube channel, and all of her website, which has some of your modeling pictures on it, right? We'll have that there, because Sarah is a real inspiration. So she's well worth following and checking out and learning more about. And so I just appreciate you being here and learning more about Sarah. And if you like this content, you want to hear about other people in the world who are going through similar things, or maybe you're a person who would like to be highlighted and spotlighted because you're looking for employment or you're on the job. And, you know, at this point, it should be noted that Sarah also has volunteered, wants to, and will continue to volunteer, and is also looking for, would also be very open to securing employment, right? Yeah, there's lots of different things that Sarah can do. We've had her out, we've had you folding up flyers, putting packages together, and you were handing out flyers as well. Gardening. Yeah. So, what I was going to say too is this channel is sponsored by my business, Plots of Love, which is a cemetery gardening business that helps people to honor their loved ones who are laid to rest in the Niagara region. So, and it's one of our goals to hire people with disabilities, to hopefully be the largest employer of people with disabilities, and for all kinds of reasons. But yeah, we would certainly love to have Sarah come and work with us and help us. So as we grow, if you're considering, you know, if you have lost a loved one, of course, we are sorry for your loss. If you're thinking that you would like to have a garden put in at a cemetery within the Niagara region, just know that you're also supporting employment opportunities for people with disabilities, and you're supporting this channel to really bring awareness to people with disabilities in the workplace and making employers and people connect. So we really appreciate that. And now I think that, you know what, all work and no play is not good for Sarah and Erica, and we're ready to go for something to eat. So you know what, we're going to head out because we're out of here. We're going to go, gosh, I don't know. We're going to go find a restaurant. We're going to go somewhere, but yeah, we're going to party. So I hope you guys really enjoyed hearing from us, and we'll see you again. Thank you. All right. Bye. Peace. Okay.